Hello fellow CzechWayers. In this episode, you will see a summary of facts about the Czech Republic's economy. You will see familiar things, but most of the data we will show you politicians don't talk about and the media don't write about. Let's think about whether the Czech economy would function without subsidies and debt. Just for your information, you can turn on automatic subtitles in German, French and other languages. It seems that people in the Czech Republic live well. Let's look at the facts from a slightly different perspective. On Facebook, we came across a graph that shows the Czech Republic as the most successful country among post-communist countries. The sentence accompanies the graph. Don't let others scare you. We are not politicians, we are scientists, so we will not scare you, but we will discuss the facts about the economy of the Czech Republic.
If people are doing so well, why, according to the Association of Health Insurance Companies, do 700,000 people out of almost 11 million experience depression or anxiety? It probably won't be because they have too much money when something is bothering them. 800,000 people are in foreclosure, which is every 10th adult citizen of the Czech Republic. Shouldn't the government change something when 10% of adults are experiencing a terrible life?
In 31 years, the Czech Republic has only had a balanced budget 3 times. The red lines show how much debt it has accumulated each year. We do not count the 4 years of balanced budgets since 1993. Because during this period governments overspent revenues, amounting to roughly 2 state budgets from the sale of state-owned enterprises. Balanced budgeting was therefore made possible by revenues that the Czech Republic will never have again. The Czech Republic does not earn enough to cover state expenses. For example, in 2015, when it borrowed relatively little compared to other years, it had to borrow to finance the entire army budget and, in addition, it had to borrow to finance the culture budget. How would it finance the army budget of 2 to 3% of GDP when it had to borrow for 1%? Just for information, the Czech Republic did not have a balanced budget even though its economy is subsidized by the EU. However, these subsidies will not be guaranteed after 2030. The economic principles of management are the same everywhere, whether it is a family, company, or state budget. How would you view the finances of a family or company that had to borrow 26 times in 31 years while still receiving subsidies?
How will you, the government, stop the debt? How will you finance the increased military budget? How will you solve all the macroeconomic problems? No more consolidation packages. Let's stop the tax growth. There is a way not to lower the living standards of citizens and not to take capital from companies. It is a way to enlarge the EU economy by opening a new economic platform. Government, listen to science. Let's start a professional, fact-based discussion. In video number 3, we declassified point number 1 of the CzechWay program. We have developed the concept of the first profitable mode of transport in the world. Transport that earns money for itself and does not need to be subsidized. Evaluate the facts of the project with experts. Let's convince the European Commission to take a leading role in the CzechWay project. Let's spin the game-changing CzechWay innovations of the EU economy. Let's create an economic boom with this innovation that will free us from debt, raise citizens' living standards, and provide companies with new business opportunities. With strong economies, we will be able to bring retirement back to 60. Please government, listen.
Do you remember the graph from the beginning of the video? It only shows you the successes in 3 months. This graph cannot be used to express where the Czech Republic is heading but only shows how the economy is doing now. If we compare the success of the graph with the graph of Czech debt, it is immediately clear that the massive debt of more than a quarter of GDP between 2020 to 2024 greatly supported the economy with subsidies. In our opinion, the leading position in 3 months among post-communist countries is not the result of a properly functioning economy, but only the result of the increase in state debt with which the government supported the economy. In our opinion, a much more credible picture of the functioning of the economy will be provided by a comparison of decades or 5-year periods, preferably with other countries. The graph of real growth over the last 20 years, divided into 5-year periods, shows that the Czech Republic failed to manage the period of the Great Recession after 2008 and also the period of the pandemic and war after 2020. The comparison of the management of the pandemic and the war is very interesting. In the graph at the beginning of this video, the Czech Republic was the best in 3 months, but when evaluating the last 5 years, it is the worst among the Visegrad countries, and this has supported the economy the most by increasing debt.
What politicians don't talk about and the media don't write about. The Czech Republic plans to build a railway and new sections of highway worth more than 50% of GDP using PPP projects. In 2021, the Minister of Transport explained how PPP projects are beneficial, which is why the Czech Republic is building a section of the D4 highway in this way. According to our calculations, servicing the debt of this section of the highway will be 2.8 times more expensive than if it were financed with government bonds. We have investigated what is advantageous and have not found a methodology anywhere on how these PPP projects will be accounted for. In our opinion, there is a risk that these projects will not be added to the state debt. PPP projects can therefore be a real threat that politicians will make the Czech Republic more indebted than 50% of GDP, and this debt will not be reflected in an increase in the state debt. Thanks to PPP, public debt can be beyond public control.
However, in our opinion, there is an even greater threat that the Czech government is not addressing. According to Deloitte, 78% of the Czech Republic's GDP is made up of exports, most of which are to EU countries. We have defended that most EU countries will achieve worse economic growth in each new decade than the previous one. If the countries to which Czech exports go have less money in their economies, naturally, in our opinion, the demand for Czech goods will fall. Fewer exported goods mean a decline in Czech GDP. Shouldn't the government of the Czech Republic and other EU countries evaluate this phenomenon as a threat and address the risks? So would the EU economies function without subsidies and debt? We believe that science does not have the tools to find out and that any answer will be speculation. We believe that this question cannot be answered using Excel. We will discuss the solution to this issue in detail when we present point number 5 of the CzechWay Program. Will we not trigger an economic crisis by moving away from debt? The European Commission, governments, and members of parliament should behave responsibly. Describe threats scientifically and treat risks. The safest solution for us is a gradual diversion away from debt, not increasing taxes and investing part of public money in returnable investments into the development of game-changing technologies that will trigger an economic boom and return the invested capital.
We will only be able to convince governments and the European Commission to change their approach if there are many of us. The YouTube algorithm decides how many people will see this video. Every new series is hidden away deep down and people don't see it. By searching for CzechWay on YouTube or Google, the algorithm evaluates it and CzechWay moves it higher and offers it to viewers. You will help the project a lot if you decide to like or forward the video and share it with your friends. Dear friends, some of the videos are on the Hero platform. If you decide to help us stop the decline of EU states, please purchase this channel for €5 per month. Yes, you will see more videos, but that is not the main thing. We will fight for you with governments for the price of one coffee. For the collected money, we can translate videos into German, French, and other languages. We can pay more people and speed up the entire CzechWay project. Thank you for any help. Next time, in part number 5, we will take a closer look at the new mode of transport, CzechWay.